Okay, so I had to stop the video just so I could, it was getting too long. So here go part 2 of my pregnancy journey. So let's go. Last year, I actually became pregnant. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why we were so surprised. Like, we were actively trying. I mean, not actively trying. We just like, we'll see what happens. But I wasn't like tracking my cycle or anything like that. So we just kind of were just doing what we were doing. And but one day I went to the bathroom, and when I was done, I got a super duper sharp pain. Man, it was the most painful feeling I ever felt in my life. Like in my stomach, it was just like a cramp, but it felt like somebody stabbed me. Like it was just very, very painful, and it lasted for maybe like 2 minutes. Like it was so painful. I couldn't breathe. I just sat there in pain, and it just really scared me. And I guess when I look back, I'm thinking maybe it was a contraction, So I don't know. Something in my brain was like, take a pregnancy test. So I went, because we had pregnancy tests on deck because we were trying to have a baby. And so I went and got a pregnancy test. I tested myself and it came back positive. I ran out the bathroom, went to my fiance. I'm like, babe, I'm pregnant. He thought I was joking. He was asleep. It was like early in the morning. He was like, no, you're not. I was like, yes, I am. I'm pregnant. And I showed him the test, and he was like, oh my God. Like, we're so happy. And super happy. I told my mom. She was super happy. I remember when I called her and told her, and like she was like, oh, okay, thanks for letting me know. And then like right before I hung up, I heard her go, whoa, yeah. She was like, whoa, my baby has a baby. She hung up. It was funny. And she was so excited, and so he was excited. But we didn't really we was like, okay, we're gonna go to the OBGYN and everything. So during this time, I had about 2 other OBGYNs that I saw. I saw one after the first guy. It was another man. He told me that I didn't need to get the surgery right away. He said, we're not going to give you that surgery if we don't know if it's going to be a problem. Plenty of women have fibroids, and plenty of them can conceive and have babies just fine. And I knew my mom had fibroids, and she has 5 children. So I was like, you know what, cool, whatever. So we'll just see what happens. So that guy ended up retiring. He was really cool. I wish he would have stayed. So when he retired, I ended up seeing a woman, and she was awesome. I feel like she was like current. She was young. She knew about the new stuff. And it was a lot of the older men, they kind of stick to that like traditional way of like being an OBGYN. And I feel like she knew like new stuff. And I just felt like I was really comfortable with her. And she was even telling me like, you don't have to get it yet. I do recommend the surgery, but if you want to just wait and see, just wait and see. But I recommend you get it before you turn like, your late 30s, because we don't want you being pregnant over 35. I know like a lot of women try to get pregnant, like the higher rates of like miscarriage and stuff go up. And not just that, I will be considered high risk because of my fibroids. And at this time, my fibroids did shrink a little bit. They shrank a little bit, not by a lot. If it was like 8 centimeters, it went down to like 7.5, 7. It didn't really like get super small, but small enough. And to give me hope. So I was happy because I did end up conceiving, and I was super happy. And then when I'm gonna try to get through this without crying. We got super excited. Went to the doctor. They did the test. They said, hey, you're pregnant. Congratulations. By your levels, you look like you're about 2 weeks or something like that. But, we'll get to that. But in retrospect, I had already lost the baby. So, and I didn't even know, I remember we went for all the scans and everything, the ultrasound, and they saw, they were like, oh, the baby's too small for us to see, but they found, the egg sac and everything. They did see that. So that made me think that I had to be about like a month when I was pregnant. And I remember getting a really bad period before that. Like I had like a really super duper heavy period. So, I never had a miscarriage. I've never been pregnant, so I didn't know at that time that was most likely me miscarrying. So, I went through, it was such a roller coaster. It was so many ups and downs. It was like, oh, your levels are here, but now they're lower, and then they went up, and now they're lower. So they were kind of already anticipating that I was going to have miscarriage. So I was super scared, and I was like, please let this, like, I don't want this. I don't want to go through a miscarriage. And I remember I started bleeding. Like maybe after I went for my second scan, and they said, oh no, you see the egg sac? You're not 2 weeks, you're about 6 weeks. And I was like, oh, cool. And the doctor was like, yeah, well, so you can come back maybe like the next, like at 12 weeks, you come back, we can see if we can find a heartbeat, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, cool. I went home, I was super happy, super relieved, because at that time I was like, they were saying my levels were up and down, up and down, up and down. So I was like really happy. But I think that doctor just didn't have the balls to tell me that I was already going to lose that baby. I already lost the baby. So a couple of days later, maybe like 2 days later, I started bleeding, and I went to the ER. And I never forget that doctor in the ER. He was so cold. He walked in the room. I was waiting for my ultrasound results to come back, and it took a very long time. Like, I think I was there for like 2 hours just waiting for those results, and there was really nobody in there. This is pre-COVID, by the way. It was nobody in there. I remember he came back. He said, he looked me directly in my face, and he said, well, you already miscarried. We see the egg sac, but it's empty. There's no baby in there. So here go your discharge papers. Like it was just, I just started bawling, and like he just like, well, we'll discharge you. I'm gonna go get your papers. Like, he did not care. And I remember that was like one of the most hurtful moments of my life. And my mom was so mad because she was sitting there with me. And when I came in here and said that, she looked at him like, what is wrong with you? Like, why would you say it like that? Like, like, you have no bedside manner. And like, she was like so mad at him. But she was trying to comfort me, so she didn't like really go after him or anything or say anything to him. She was just more worried about me. I don't want to cry, but I think about it. But I took that personally. I took that personally. Like, it took me back to that part when the doctor was like, oh, you're not going to be able to have kids, so it just, like, at that point I was like, maybe he's right, I'm not going to be able to have kids. So I had to go tell my fiance that I did miscarry, and he was hurt as well. And we tried, we got through it. A part of me was like really, really sad, but then a part of me was like fired up, because I knew, I think I got pregnant once, I can do it again. And so the journey started. I was like, I waited for the doctor to give me the okay for me to try again. And then we started actively trying to conceive. And then it took us a whole year to conceive, by the way. A whole year, because I had a period tracking app. I'm going by what the app is saying. This is when you had your period. This is when you're going to ovulate. I'm like, okay, cool. And I told myself that if I didn't get pregnant by the end of that year, 'cause I was 31 at that time, I said if I didn't get pregnant by the end of that year, that I was going to just get the operation. So I didn't get pregnant. We kept trying and trying. I just couldn't get pregnant. And finally, I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna get the operation. But then COVID hit. So when COVID hit, we wasn't leaving. We was on lockdown. I'm looking at my schedule, and I'm like, something's not adding up. What's happening? Maybe I really just can't have a child. And then I heard about something called the Ovusense. And the Ovusense is like a basal thermometer, that tracks your base temperature, and tells you when you're going to ovulate. So, because I didn't want to buy the ovulation strips, because I just don't have I don't think I have the dedication to do that, to constantly like be checking. It was like $150, but I ended up getting it for like $106 or something like that. So I was like, you know what? I'll give it a try, because really at the end of the day, I was going to probably be spending more on ovulation strips and things like that. So I was like, you know what? I'll give it a try. So I got it, and I had to start using it right away. I used it for like the first like I used it right after my period. So you got to start right after your period. And so that first like 2 weeks, it was like up and down, up and down, up and down. I mean up and down, but it would show you like your levels, your whatever. So I had noticed in the first month that I used it that when I looked at it when I missed a day, I remember I had missed a day, and then when I did the next day, my temperature went like from like 90 whatever the normal temperature was, it went down. Like it went down a lot. And when I saw that dip, I was like, I think I'm about to start ovulating, right? So we tried, and then but we kept but I kept tracking it. So when it'll tell you when to stop using it. It'll say like, oh, you already ovulated, stop using it. And I was right. That dip that I saw was my ovulation. So when it came back up, my ovulation went higher. It went like, I think it was like 98 to like 99. It went up a little higher, and they said you can stop using it. You ovulated like the 20th. So I looked at, it said I ovulated the 20th, and I looked at my my chart that I had on my phone, and it told me I wasn't supposed to ovulate until like the 26th or something like that. So I've been missing my ovulation probably this whole time by a whole week, which can make a difference. It can make a difference when you're trying to conceive, because the percentage of you getting pregnant is, it goes up when you're conceiving. I mean, when you ovulating. So I was like, well, okay, cool. And then so that August of 2020, my brother ended up having a accident. He doesn't live here, so we had to go to where he was at in a different county. And at this time, I was super bloated. I mean, it's quarantine. I gained a lot of weight. So at this point, I was like 206, but I felt so bloated. So I'm like, okay, my period about to come on. That's why I feel so bloated. I just, how you get the warning cramps and everything. So I felt really, really bloated. And I was like, okay. And I remember my brother was in the ICU. This is a weird part of the story. He was in the ICU, and he was hooked up to, all the machines and everything. So he's loopy, And I remember, because he had like a tube and everything, and the breathing machine, all that. And I remember him looking at me. He pointed to me and said, you. Like, he didn't say it, but he just like, and he kept going like this. And I'm like, are you trying to say I'm fat? Because I did, like, I gained a lot of weight. So I was like, you trying to say I'm fat? Like, you're calling me fat? He just kept going like, he just kept motion in the belly. I was like, I felt some kind of way about that, So later on, I kept getting these back spasms. Like I kept getting like these spasms in my back, and I was like, ooh, what is that? Like, that's not a period cramp. Like, I've never got I don't get back pain and back cramps and nothing like that through my period. So that was weird. And I remember what he said to me, and I was like, I think I'm pregnant, Mom. And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, can we go buy a test? Because at this point we're staying in a hotel because we were staying there to see him. We went, got a pregnancy test, and even before I even took it, I was like, I know I'm pregnant because those back spasms. Something about those back spasms just told me that I was pregnant. I just knew it. And it was like a small little spasm. It was like a jump. It was like a little just a different feeling. But at the time, I still had like the feeling like my period was about to come on. I don't know how to explain it. Like, sometimes I just know my period about to come on. Like, it starts feeling the warning cramps, And so I had those cramps coming, but then also the back spasms. So I was like, okay. So I went to the bathroom. Before I even took the test, I was like, I'm pregnant. My mom was like, let's just wait and see. Instantly, that test came back up and said, pregnant. I was mind blown. I really do think that IvuSense really helped me. It really, really helped me. I didn't, because I'm a regular cycle, I think ovulation strips like that would have helped me. But the first time I used it, I would recommend that to anybody on some real. If you are a person trying to conceive and you have an irregular cycle, please try the IvuSense. It's a little pricey, I get it, but it was hassle free for me. All you gotta do is pop it in, pop it out. It was the easiest thing I ever done, the best decision I ever made. I was just like mind blown. Mind blown. I just couldn't believe it. I know this video is getting long. I'm sorry, guys. I was just like super duper like happy. And I just called. I wasn't going to tell my fiance at first, but at the time I was dealing with a lot of stress, and I didn't want to like miscarry, and he didn't know or something like that. And I just felt like I needed his support, so I did ended up telling him over the phone, and he was happy, but he didn't want to get excited because he was afraid that I was going to lose the baby. And I get that, because I was afraid too. I was like, oh man, I don't want to lose this baby. But when I got to 10 weeks and I got to hear his heartbeat, I was so, I cried. I'm trying not to cry now, but y'all don't understand how happy I am. This has been like an up and down thing for me, and how I've been sad a lot. I've been crying a lot. It's just, even to this day, I just can't believe it. I just can't believe that I'm pregnant. So happy. I can't tell y'all how happy I am. I can't explain it. I just never thought that this was going to happen. Because I was trying for so long. I literally almost gave up. Right, Anna? Yeah, I almost gave up. I almost gave up. I almost got the operation. Not saying that I shouldn't have gotten an operation. I mean, if you need to get the operation, I say get it. But for me, I was able to do it without having to get it. And I'm just so proud of my body for being able to do this. Like, it's really quite amazing to me. Like I said, I still wake up sometimes and I forget, and I look at my belly and I'm like, I'm pregnant. I always forget. I don't forget when I try to turn over. But it's been up and down. Like it's just been so many up and down for the pregnancy, especially in the beginning. It was very painful in the beginning. Not like painful to the point like it was like period cramps for me in the beginning. Like I had like a few scares. I had to go to the hospital twice because I had bleeding. But then they would show me the ultrasound and my baby just being there. He was just in there wiggling. And I was like, yes, he's there he is. And then we had some problems with the testing of like the NIPT testing. That's when they take your blood and it has some, I guess the baby's chromosomes in there or something like that, or material in it. And it can tell you if the baby is going to be a boy or a girl. It'll tell you if they have any kind of genetic diseases or like Down syndrome or anything like that. So that came back. The first one, it took me 3 tests to get a result. The first test, negative. It was too early, they said. The second test never came back. And then the third test, they told me everything was okay. So I got that done. We found out we were having a little boy. Everybody thought we were going to have a girl, but between me and you, I got 4 brothers. The odds were kind of against me. So I wasn't even surprised. But either way, I don't care. I just want a healthy little baby. I don't care what sex it is. So at the end of the day, that does not matter to me. I have so much love to give, and I want to give that baby the best. It's just what it is. And cut to, I am now 6 months pregnant. My fibroids did grow. My biggest fibroid, the one they're worried about now, is the one that's pedunculated. Like I said, the one that's sitting at the bottom. It's now 11 centimeters. So that's about the size of a grapefruit. But they saying the good thing about my fibroids is they're not inside of the muscle or inside the uterus. So therefore, they're not worried about the other ones. They just like, those are fine. Like the baby is growing fine. He's not in there cramped up. It's not pushing him. That's fine. It's just really scary that every day I'm thinking like, every week I'm just like, oh man, I hope that he pushes us over or he's not in there cramped up, but he in there kicking away. So tearing me up. He's just being a bully, tearing me up and just doing the most. And I don't. That's okay. Do what you got to do, little man. Do what you got to do. Mommy asked for this, and I am willing to deal with it. So far, my pregnancy has been great. I don't have any pregnancy symptoms at all. They warned me before when I first got pregnant, because you have fibers, you'll be a lot of pain, you might be bleeding, you'll cramp, blah blah blah. For me, none of that. I had morning sickness like once. I think I threw up one time during this whole pregnancy, and I never threw up. I got it out of my system. Never threw up again. So no pregnancy symptoms at all. Like no swelling, I didn't gain any weight. If anything, I'm losing weight, which is the scary part to me. I lost, I was 206 when I first found out that I was pregnant, and now I'm 194. So I lost about 11, 12 pounds. But the baby is obviously growing. My tummy is pretty big. I'm gonna see if I can show you guys later. But my tummy is getting pretty big. I think I'm measuring a little bit more than what I am because of the fibroids. I think at 20 weeks, I was measuring at 25 weeks. And I swear, now that I hit that 20 weeks, I'm at the uncomfortable stage now because I can't sit a certain way. Sometimes the baby is putting pressure on my pelvis, or he's on my sciatic nerve, which is fine. Like I said, I asked for this, you know. I'm trying to stay as positive as possible. The only thing that's bothering me is when I went for my 20 week scan. 20-week scan. The doctor looked at my they called the doctor in the room, and he said, we can't find your cervix. We can't find it. We think that the fibroid is like tilting your uterus or like pushing it to the side. We can't measure it, and that's a worry, because if the canal isn't, lined up, you're not gonna be able to have a regular labor. You're gonna have to get a C-section. I've never had any kind of like surgery. And so the fact that I might have to get a surgery is very concerning to me, especially because you're awake for it. You're awake for it. It's just terrifying to me. But, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. I'll worry about that later. I just want to worry about being healthy and happy and just doing what I gotta do. But, like I said, so far, no pain. I had one big cramp, like one time. I guess the baby must have like kicked that fibroid to the side or something, and he was fighting that fibroid for like 30 seconds, and it was a huge pain for a minute, but then it went away. I never had pain after that. So no, every time to the doctor, they're so worried. Oh, are you bleeding? Are you cramping? Nope. He told me, you're my favorite patient, because he's like, you have problems, but you never have problems, and you're always so positive and upbeat when you come in here. He just was like, it does my heart good to see you like so happy. And I'm like, oh, that made me feel better. That made me feel good. And so they were worried that I was worried that I'm gonna have to get a C-section because of that. But then when I saw my OBGYN, he checked me and he said, I can feel the fibroid, but your cervix is definitely in the same space. He was like, it's not tilted, it's not turned or anything. What's happening is the fibroid is pushing your cervix back and up a little bit. So he said, we just gotta monitor it. He's like, that doesn't mean you gotta get a C-section, because it might shift or whatever, or it might not block the cervix. The fibroid might not block it. So he was like, we just gotta make sure that everything is right. So when I go in for my 28 week scan, we'll talk about options there then. But until then, I'm just gonna do what I do. I'm just gonna do my pelvic exercises and my stretches and some yoga, and try to stay, because I'm high risk. I'm definitely considered high risk. So I'm trying to just stay as active as possible, because I don't want to just lay around all the time. But I just want you guys to know that if you are dealing with fibroids and you want to get pregnant, there is hope. There is hope. And I almost gave that hope up. I literally almost was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, maybe it's just not in the cards for me. And really, it just wasn't my time. That's all. This wasn't my time. And now it's my time. And I can't wait till he get here, and for me to hold him and hug him and kiss him and just give him everything. And we just can't wait. And I know this video is long. I'm gonna try to cut it into 2 parts. But if you guys do watch this, I do want you guys to know that there is hope. If there really is. And don't give up. I'm just happy. I'm over the moon. I just don't think I've ever been this happy in my life. Happy and scared. It's all so new to me. But I want you girls, or whoever's watching this, to know that it's okay. I'm gonna try to keep documenting as I keep going. Because like I said, this is really for me, and maybe when my child gets older, he might want to come back and look at what mommy did. Who knows? So thank you guys for watching. I'll try to answer any questions if anybody has any questions, and I'll try to like address other issues, because there is some other things that I do want, like I said, do want to talk about and everything, and maybe I'll go over like how each scan was for me and things like that. And I do want to keep on documenting what's going on as time is going, you know. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys liked the video and try to subscribe, I guess. Thanks for watching.